Spider-Man can defeat Invincible from the very first minute. You will probably say that's impossible and that it doesn't make sense. Look, I know Invincible is physically stronger. He can fly, he can survive nuclear-level hits, and he can even destroy entire cities. But fights aren't decided only by strength. They are decided in the first moment. The biggest mistake people make in fight comparisons is focusing only on raw physical power. We all know that if Spider-Man faced Invincible without planning or strategy, he would die in the first second. But in this video, I will prove how Spider-Man could actually take down Invincible. Yes, I said earlier that we shouldn't compare based only on physical strength, but I'll show you enemies with power levels similar to Invincible that Spider-Man has defeated. For example, in The Amazing Spider-Man number 269, Spider-Man defeated Firelord. He did it through endurance and close combat after dodging Firelord's cosmic energy. Spider-Man wasn't stronger, but he never stopped attacking until the villain became exhausted and collapsed. And by the way, Firelord is on a similar power level to Invincible. Spider-Man has also fought the Hulk, and I'm sure you know how powerful Hulk is. Spider-Man managed to survive and slow him down using agility, webbing, and psychological provocation. This confrontation appears in issue number 14. Spider-Man is not as weak as you might imagine. He can lift dozens of tons easily. His body control is incredible, and his reaction speed is faster than bullets. He's not a tank standing still waiting to be hit. He's a fighter who relies on movement, angles, and control. This fighting style is dangerous for any character that depends only on raw strength. If you combine all of this with the symbiote suit, Spider-Man gains even more advantage in combat. His spider sense becomes stronger, meaning he knows about an attack before it even starts. But let me tell you something, even all of that is not the most important thing. Spider-Man doesn't rely on strength as his first weapon. He studies his enemy's weaknesses first. Invincible often begins his fights while hesitating. He talks a lot, gives his opponents chances, and takes hits without finishing the fight quickly, because psychologically, he doesn't enter the fight with the intention to kill immediately. This isn't a weakness in power, it's a weakness in decision-making. Any fast character that attacks without hesitation can exploit that in the first moments. We saw this during the early part of his fight with Conquest. He preferred talking and arguing more than fighting because deep inside he was weak and scared. In the end, he almost lost his girlfriend, Adam Eve, and nearly died in that battle. Even Cecil almost defeated him, and I will return to that point later. Invincible might hesitate at first, but when you push him far enough, he loses control. At that moment, Spider-Man would lose. For example, when Angstrom Levy threatened his mother and his younger brother, Oliver, Mark couldn't do anything at first. He tried to talk and resolve the situation peacefully without harming the villain or his family. But when Mark saw that his mother had been hurt, he completely lost control and started beating Angstrom Levy brutally until he turned him into a pile of flesh. Because of that, Spider-Man must make sure the fight stays strictly between him and Mark, without any outside threats or emotional triggers. And this is where the interesting part begins. Remember when I said Cecil almost defeated Mark? Cecil literally placed a sonic device inside Mark's ear. If Mark lost control, the device would cause him severe pain and possibly internal bleeding. This is where the role of Spider-Man comes in. He would need to find a way to place a similar device inside Mark's ear. But how could he do that? Spider-Man could approach Mark not as Spider-Man, but as Peter Parker. He could get close to him and gain his trust. Eventually, Peter might discover his secret identity or catch him while he's changing. Once Mark trusts him and doesn't see him as a threat, Peter could place the device in his ear somehow. Another option is that Spider-Man keeps his identity secret and lures Invincible into a closed location. He could knock him out using gas. Once Mark is unconscious, Spider-Man could plant the sonic device inside Mark's ear. When Invincible wakes up and tries to attack Spider-Man, he activates the device to weaken Mark and defeat him. Spider-Man should not wear the symbiote suit during this plan. That would be a huge and stupid mistake because symbiotes are extremely vulnerable to sound waves. The sonic device would affect the suit even more than it affects Invincible, giving Mark the chance to break free if he resists long enough. The best solution is that Spider-Man modifies the sonic device before placing it in Invincible's ear. He should adjust it so that only Invincible can hear the sound waves. That way, the symbiote suit wouldn't be affected. Spider-Man needs the symbiote to deal greater damage to Invincible. But even if Spider-Man chooses not to modify the device, he could still defeat Invincible without the suit. Why would Spider-Man and Invincible fight? The reason isn't something dumb like a misunderstanding. That's shallow and doesn't fit characters this deep. Mark, Invincible, went through a real psychological shock after his father Omni-Man betrayed him, and that didn't just hurt him, it completely changed how he sees what it means to be a hero. Mark realized the world isn't black and white, and that sometimes you have to make brutal decisions to protect more people. We saw this clearly after what happened with Angstrom Levy when Mark completely lost control and beat him until he was basically a pile of flesh. That moment broke something inside him, and he understood that killing can be the only solution in certain situations. Over time, he started accepting that idea more, especially as his responsibilities grew. He became willing to do whatever it takes to protect the people he cares about, even if it's morally wrong. On the other side, you have Spider-Man, Peter Parker, whose entire character is built on one principle: with great power comes great responsibility. This isn't just a quote, it comes from the trauma of losing his Uncle Ben because of his own mistake. Since then, Peter has drawn a hard line. Killing is never an option, no matter what the situation. We've seen this again and again. He's faced enemies far more dangerous than himself and still chose to stop them without killing, even when it nearly cost him his life. This is where the clash becomes inevitable. Mark believes killing one person can save thousands, while Spider-Man believes that once you cross that line, you don't come back from it. Imagine this scenario. Mark is facing a dangerous enemy, and instead of restraining them, he kills them to end the threat instantly. Spider-Man would see that as a crime, not a solution, and he would step in immediately, not because he's stronger, but because he refuses the idea itself. The problem is, Mark wouldn't understand that at all, because in his mind, he's saving lives. He would see Spider-Man as naive, someone wasting time and allowing threats to come back again. The tension would start with words, Spider-Man trying to stop him the way he always does, and Mark pushing back, telling him the world isn't as simple as he thinks. The moment Spider-Man tries to physically stop him, Mark would see him as a real obstacle, and that's when the fight escalates from an attempt to intervene into a real battle, because each of them sees the other as completely wrong. Spider-Man sees Mark as another dangerous force that needs to be stopped before he goes too far, and Mark sees Spider-Man as someone too weak to make the hard decisions. And the moment Mark decides he won't back down and Spider-Man decides he won't allow this to continue, the fight becomes inevitable. Not because of power, but because of an ideological clash that can't be solved with words. Tell me if there are other ways Spider-Man could defeat Invincible. And tell me honestly, does this argument make sense or not?